This poetry is like a rhythm that drops. The tongue fires a rhythm that shoots like shots. This poetry is designed for ranting, dancehall style, big mouth chanting. This poetry nah go put you to sleep, preaching follow me like you is blind sheep. This poetry is not party political, not designed for those who are critical. This poetry is with me when I go to my bed. It gets into me dreadlocks, it lingers round my head. This poetry goes with me as I pedal my bike. I've tried Shakespeare, respect due there, but this is the stuff I like. This poetry is not afraid of going in a book. Still, this poetry need ears for hear and eyes for have a look. This poetry is verbal rhythm, no big words involved, and if I have a problem, the rhythm gets it solved. I've tried to be more romantic. It does no good for me, so I take a reggae rhythm and build me poetry. I could try to be more personal, but you've heard it all before. Pages of words, written words not needed. Brian has many words in store. You could call this poetry dub ranting. The tongue plays a beat, the body starts skanking. This poetry is quick and childish. This poetry is for the wise and foolish. Anybody can do it for free. This poetry is for you and me. Don't stretch your imagination. This poetry is for the good of the nation. Chant in the morning, chant in the night, in the darkness and under the spotlight. I passed through university, I passed through sociology, and then I got a dread degree in dreadful ghettoology. This poetry stays with me whether I run or walk, and when I am talking to myself in poetry, I talk. This poetry is with me, below me and above me. This poetry is from inside me, and it goes to you with love. I bring you words of power, words of wisdom, raw words, big words, small words, sad words. Words of passion, words of praise. I raise my arms in reverence to the ancient word of days. Words of woman, man and child, wild words. Words of anger, words of pain, words of wind, earth, sun and rain, words of joy and words of healing, words revealing concealed feelings. These words I offer up to you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Good morning and welcome to Cruising with Cuban Red. This morning before I start, you heard Benjamin Zephaniah. We'll be looking at him a little bit later in the show. But I just want to welcome you. We are in inclusive FM land. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for working on the airwaves this morning. And in the background, you can hear a track that is going to actually play all the way through the show. Somebody's desperately trying to get through to me. I think it's Darren from Jamaica, but I'm not going to take the call, because I'm on air. But I'll send you a shout out, Darren. Hey, that's for you. Okay, cool. All right then, so we're going to get moving because we did start a little bit late this morning. Excuse me and sorry to all of you that actually tuned in at 5 to 11, which I know Henk did over there in Holland. Nice one, Henk. Yes. There was 10 minutes to go, but we did start 30 minutes later. But hopefully you're still tuning in this morning. And also big shouts out to the House of Amal, Silver out there and the family caring for Mum, Darren who's just rung from Jamaica. Big shout out to management actually, because we couldn't be here if it wasn't for Simca managing the whole programme. And of course I could not leave out Richard, my trusty technician. Thank you very much, Richard. Got a wave. One day you will see Richard, yeah? Not today, but one day you shall. Also, just a big up to the family. Thank you to my family for always supporting me in whatever I do. So big up to you, Rowena, Julian, Elliot. Thank you so much. Great having you as my children. But you know what? They're not my only ones. Have children all over the place. Because you know what? This is a village. This world is a big village that we live in. And if we don't care one for another, take each other as brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, if we don't look out for each other in this big old village that we live in, we're going to get in trouble. And trust me, that's why the world is in trouble today, yeah? But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to move on with the show. And I just want to say, whether you are in Edmonton, Enfield, London, England, or anywhere over the world, if you're tuned in to Cruising with Cuban Red, I just want to say a big thank you and say enjoy the show, yeah? Okay, we're going to get on with the show now. What do we have for you today? Shall I tell you a little bit about Benjamin Zephaniah? I think many of you out there actually do know of Benjamin Zephaniah, one of the biggest kind of dub, reggae and black poets that kind of broke through the ceiling, the walls, whatever, and made it out there in the big old village, yeah? So I'm going to read you just a teeny bit about Benjamin Zephaniah. This is a poetry-based show, after all, and you are Cruising with Cuban Red. Okay. Benjamin Zephaniah was born in 1958 in Coleshill, Warwickshire, and he grew up in Handsworth, Birmingham. Bet you didn't know that. At school, he and his twin sister were the only black pupils. Yes, I know that story. And often he would be challenged to a fight. When he was 9, he and his mother, who worked as a nurse, left the rest of the family to live on their own. He went to a series of schools, but hated them all. He was made captain of athletics, football, basketball, but he could not read or write. Later discovering that he was also dyslexic. It was assumed by the teacher that he would be good at cricket. He's written a little poem. Teacher tell me I am good at cricket. I tell teacher I am not. Teacher tell me we love cricket. I tell teacher not me. I want trigonometry for help me people. Teacher tell me I am a born cricketer. But I never, only once, I don't play cricket. So you see what he's saying from there. Trying hard to get an education, he was pushed into the stereotypes of being an athlete. I don't think musicians were quite hitting the mark just then, otherwise he probably would have been pushed into saying, you know, go and be a musician or something. But Benjamin, as you will hear later on, did what he had to do and broke through that barrier and ended up one of the most well-known, respected poets of our time. Big up Benjamin Zephaniah. Thank you for being on my show, which is Cruising with Cuban Red, and you are out there in inclusive FM land. And as I passed through the market this morning, I realised that, it's not as cold, really, as it could be for this time of year. I just want to give you the weather, according to weather, wherever. This morning, if you have been out already, which is nearly finished, only half an hour to go, was 9 degrees, which is going to carry on this afternoon. Very rainy though, but it gets a little lower this evening, and tonight it's going to get colder. So make sure that you've got your windows closed, especially you elders out there. Make sure those windows are closed so that the draft isn't coming in on you. And the wind gusts are going to be about 56 miles per hour. So if you're driving on the roads, be really, really careful. And actually, tomorrow morning, it's going to be about 9 degrees centigrade as well. So do wrap up, keep warm, make sure you've got your umbrella, but don't let the weather stop you, because as the title says, it's weather wherever. You can't escape it. Just make sure you wrap up, and you're ready for it. Okay, cool, that's the weather dealt with, and we've done our shout outs. I actually think we're going to listen to some of that wonderful music that is playing underneath. I'm going to tell you a little story about that wonderful music. I think I've told you before on previous programs, but not really gone into it. Before I went to Jamaica, I heard this track. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know who sang it. I didn't know where it came from. But all I know is that I wanted this track. I didn't have time to search for it before I went to Jamaica. But when I went to Jamaica, those poor street sellers, I think I hounded them. Every one of them. I stopped and I said, have you got this one? And I started to sing it for them. Well, obviously they didn't understand what I was singing, but they didn't have the CD anyway. And on the very last set of CDs that I bought, there was this track, Reggae Bus, put together by DJ Roy. DJ Roy is an amazing mixer. He makes CDs that go out all over the world. And maybe not today, but another time I'll give you his details if you want to contact DJ Roy, okay? And we're going to listen to actually 3 tracks in one go. And that's track 5, track 6, and track 7. Keep that vibe flowing, which is what it finishes with, okay? Track 5, 6, and 7. Thank you very much, Richard.
Keep the energy pumping, keep the vibe flowing, keep the energy pumping. All night till I can never miss.
Reminds me of the sun.
Play sweet songs, and let the people sing along, Oh gosh, oh rhythm flow, from head to toe, oh rhythm go, just let it roll. Just put one foot in front of the other, like the bassline, respect the drummer. Jamaica is back to dances. Keep the vibe flowing, keep that energy blowing, keep the vibe flowing, keep that energy pumping. Oh, I've seen some friends I never seen in a long time. And I see new faces all getting down it. So I said, what are you doing down here? They said, same thing you're doing round here, yes. Wanna enjoy the feel of the vibe that the rest of the world is cheers to.
Enjoy the music. 2 more tracks to go. Woo!
And if you wanna free up, worry on up your partner. flowing. Keep that energy pumping. Keep the vibe flowing. Keep that energy pumping. All night select never miss. Oh, it is that
DJ Roy. Good music, my brother. Reggae make you rock, rock.
Reggae make you rock so much.
Reggae
make you rock so much.
Go DJ Roy. Mixtape.
It's a wonderful feeling. Reggae make you rock, rock. Reggae make you rock so much. I say rubber, Reggae make you rock so much. Having fun this time around. To the sweet reggae sound. Smiling faces, no see no frown. Music gets you highway on the road. Yeah. Feel the vibe when everybody gather around. So let the string it up, we want to hear the sound. See man and woman, them a rock. Everybody feel a vibe, nobody and no dead stop. Here when music hits, Robert Nesta said that. So pull up that one up from top. That one your name.
Reggae make you rock.
Reggae make you rock some more.
Rub it up.
Reggae make you rock some more. Having fun.
Ooh, better turn that. I'm very sorry out there in we're going to take that off for the minute. Take it off. Give it a rub down. Yeah, give it just a rub with a cloth, and then we'll put it back on again just to track 7. But in the meantime, while that is happening, because there must be something, must be some kind of fluff. I play it so much. But do you know what? Doesn't that just make you want the sun? Doesn't that music just make you want to go and have some sun and sea and good fresh food? Yeah? Reggae makes you rock. Yes, it certainly does. And you have to keep that vibe flowing, yeah? And I need the sun right now. If you can hear me, I'm sure you can hear that I've still got a bit of a cold. It has been bugging me for a couple of months, and I kind of know why that happened. I was doing a course for the parent engagement panel, of which I am going to be given my certificate on the 18th in the evening. Yes, I'm now a parent champion, and I was doing that course, which is an amazing course that is run in the borough of Enfield. The parent engagement panel works with all sorts of organisations, young people, elders, families in the borough, and it's something that I have 3 children. You didn't know that, did you? I have 3 children. They have children. I believe that each of us needs to look out for our children in this big village that we live in. Yeah. Oh, I think the music is back. So I need the sun. This music reminds me of the sun. And in England, there's not much sun in winter. I'm going to talk about winter some more. Woo! Here comes the music. Thank you, Richard.
Having fun this time around. So the sweet reggae sound. Smiling faces, no see no frown. Music gets you highway on the ground. Yeah. Feel the vibe when everybody gather around.
Oh boy.
So let the string it up, we want to hear the sound. Woyo. See man and woman, them a rock. Everybody feel a vibe, nobody and no dead stop. No pain when music hits, Robert Nesta said that. So pull up that one up from top. That one your name, reggae make you rock. Reggae make you rock some more. I say rubber, reggae make you rock some more. Having fun this time around. To the sweet reggae sound. Smiling faces, no see no frown. Music gets you highway on the ground.
Hey.
I say as far as I see it, uptown to downtown, we're on the side street. In a reggae that a my speech. Music make you unite, no other fight feet. Anywhere in the world,
all over.
Reggae listen by the young or the older. It make you warm when you're colder. Set the move when you're a girl or two. make you rock, rock, rock. Reggae make you rock some more.
Oh.
I say rubber, rubber, rubber,
Duh, duh, duh.
reggae make you rock some more. Having fun this time around. To the sweet, sweet reggae sound. Smiling faces, no see no frown. The music gets you high way off the ground.
Girl, take a minute.
Oh,
Catch your
tune.
I'll take that minute to wipe my sweat. It's only the beginning. We're
Halfway, yeah.
If you think that you can handle me, place your bet.
You're gonna lose.
And all your treasure will be mine for sure. My love's a cruise to a place you've never been before.
Ooh, ooh.
Prize is satisfaction guaranteed when you choose to give yourself to me. I do
Oh,
love to make sweet, 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 sweet love to you. I do love to make sweet, 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 sweet love to you.
Seven. We're gonna play seven.
Yeah.
Is it track 7? Let 7 play.
Yes,
Is this-
I do.
This is 7. Okay, fade it. Fade it down. When it's to the end. Ooh. Yes, I do. Oh, I love that CD. When I came back from Jamaica, I just played it and played it and played it and played it. And it just reminds me so much of the sun and the sand and the sea. But I haven't yet played you that track that I was searching for. So that is still to come, okay? All right then. I want to just introduce you to a book that I bought this weekend. I actually went to Natural November at the weekend. It was fabulous. It's where all the, it's arranged by a woman called Deborah Searchwell. Big up to you, Deborah Searchwell. I think she's just had the go-ahead to take this thing national that she does. And I think for the past 4 years, I've been twice, I think for the past 4 years, could be more, she's put on an event called Natural November. And it's arts, crafts, food, health food, lectures, performances, and it's all around the African diaspora. So it's a kind of an African market that happens once a year, although I did hear it happens mid-year as well. I didn't know about that one. And it's where black people can come together, African people can come together and spend their pound. You know, it's amazing. If you look at it, and I'm only going to say what everybody says, although maybe you've not heard it before. If you look at the country, let's look at England. If you look at England, of course, the businesses are mainly English. It is an English country. But if you look at the migrants, if you like, or should we call them those the invitees that came here first, from the Indies, yeah, invited to come to this country to come and rebuild after the war. Yet for some reason, those people, my people, hasn't seemed to got it together to get the businesses together, to keep the pound surfacing within the black market. If you look at the Greeks, if you look at the Turkish, if you look at the Polish, if you look at any other migrant group that has come to this country, they have banded together and they have put their monies together and they have I can't tell you, if you've not been to Egmonton 4 Street or Egmonton area, it's almost a takeover and it's wonderful. I applaud business, I really do, and people coming together to make things work. So big up to Caravanserai, big up to Capital, big up to all these places that have kind of taken over the high street. Big up to you, but I'm a little bit worried about the African people. What's wrong? Why? Why does that happen with us? Yeah. Well, Deborah Searchwell, well done. Big up to you, because you've created the event where people can come together and spend spend their money and it goes back into the African black pocket, yeah? I like that. Good business, yeah? And I went there quite late because I wasn't very well, really. And if you remember Saturday in England, in London, it was wet, it was windy, and it was cold. But I said I was going to go, and I really wanted to go, and so go I did. And I picked up a few things, not particularly what I was looking for, because I was looking for some of the artifacts for Kwanzaa. So either the mat or the candelabra with the 7 candle holes, or anything to do with Kwanzaa, which I didn't find. I did go late, mind you. But what I did find was this wonderful book, The Wit and Wisdom of, wait for it, drum roll, Maya Angelou. Oh yes, one of my favourite authors, favourite people. I met up with her through her books, I suppose, in my teens, and seen her interview. I've been to see her live, and I know she's passed away. This book is called Rainbow in the Clouds. Rainbow in the Clouds by Maya Angelou. And you will be hearing loads from this book as time goes by, yeah? Shall I read you a little bit today? Little bit? Just a little bit? No, it's going to tease you. Another time we'll prepare a full-on Maya Angelou show, and then you can hear like bits and pieces of her wit and her wisdom throughout the rest of the weeks to come in 2016. So this is Rainbow in the Clouds by Maya Angelou, something to look forward to on Cruising with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, I think you need a little treat, and the little treat is the wow. Yes, we have a wow for today. I think maybe today Richard might get this one. He's laughing at me. Let's see, yeah? So remember, we're looking at the game Evolution. He's cheating, he's looking, he can't see it. Neither can you. Stop looking out there. The game Evolution, and it's about cliches and expressions and where words come from. So I think I might do both sides today. Okay, let's start with try and think what this word is that I'm describing could be. Okay, listening, Richard? Okay, here we go. The early temperance movement in the US didn't demand that their members abstain from alcohol, but rather to limit their consumption to beer and wine. However, as movements and crusades will, they became more militant to the point of demanding total abstinence. This word was first coined to describe those who totally gave up alcohol, as opposed to the OP, Old Pledge members, who promised to limit their enjoyment to beer and wine. Cruising with Cuban Redders, what is that word? Richard's looking at me. What's that word, Richard? Oh, he's making a sign. Would you like to say the word, Richard? Woohoo! Richard got it right! Did you hear that out there? You didn't, did you? You're not going to see him, but I just want you to hear his voice. Richard, can you say that a bit louder for me? Teetotaler! Yes, exactly right. So that's where that word came from. It was from that early temperance movement, where first of all they only had to abstain from wine. They could drink beer or whatever, but then they, as all crusades do, as it said, went on further, and people had to totally abstain, and they became known as the teetotalers. Yay! One to Richard, I think. Excellent. Did any of you get it out there? Any? No? I'm going to very quickly do the other side today because it's only short, and this is a cliche and an expression. And this phrase described a rider's lack of control over his horse should he accidentally lose the reins. It's a phrase, yeah? 3 words. Today, it refers to a situation that is out of control. There's a clue here. The phrase described a rider's lack of control over his horse should he accidentally lose the reins. Today, that phrase refers to Richard's smiling. I'm getting nervous. I think he knows this one as well. I have to get harder ones next time. Today, it refers to a situation that is out of control. Okay, any ideas? No, that's wrong. No, that's wrong too. Nearly right. Richard, have you got an idea? Where are the reins held, Richard? Where do you hold the reins? Okay, so when a situation is out of control, it is out of hand. I told him this time. I told you two out there as well. It's kind of weird. Your brain has to think in this kind of out of the box, round the corner, curvy kind of way. But usually, as with all kind of crosswords or anything like that, there is a clue given in the actual question, yeah? So thank you very much. That was our wow for today. You've learnt where out of hand came from and also where the word teetotaler came from. And last week you learnt about the phrase robbing Peter to pay Paul, yeah? Don't say I don't tell you things out there. If you travel, if you cruise with Cuban Red, you will definitely learn things. Not quite sure what they all are, but you will learn things, yes? Okay, some of them really cool things too. Okay, excellente. I think we might have a bit more music, if that's okay, because I just love this CD, and it's probably track 8. No, not track 8 to 10, because I want to play that track later. 11, track 11 to 14, methinks. Yes, please, Richard. It's track 11, yeah? Oh, turn it down a minute for me, Rich. I have a phone call coming in from my daughter. Hello, Rowena. You are on air, and so am I. Yes? Are you ringing to say you're having a wonderful show, Mum? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. You are on air. Hello? She says no! What do you want to say to the viewers out there in Inclusive FM land?
I hope you're enjoying the show. She's a fantastic entertainer, poetress, joy, and continue watching it. Do not miss another show.
Honestly, I did not programme that. Rowena, I'm sure you're ringing up for something in particular. Can it wait? Can we speak later? Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, my beautiful darling daughter. See you later, yeah? And we have the music up. Woo! Thank you. Every day. And mother, father and mother, the goddess out there, as well as the goddess. You feel like skanking? Woo! No.
Skank to the reggae music. Lord, I feel like grooving. Lord,
groove to the reggae music.
Lord, go on and skank with me, baby. Lord, gonna make you mine if it takes all night. DJ One, Lord. Spend some time with me, lady. Let me love you till you can't take no more.
Yeah, man, Jabooks are representing the DJ.
Lord.
As I would say.
Alright. Go make me take on the dance floor. Money in me pocket and pretty girl a roll. Rubber duck it till a man in sweat a bust through me pores. Liquor on table, I grade the smoke. The permit said 2, but
me just now go home. Take it up, select that this I wanna eat down. Rasta man, in the corner with it, so listen my load. And the youth there is the out of our sport.
Feel like skank. Oh, skank to the reggae music.
Lord, Lord, I feel like grooving. Lord, Lord, groove to the reggae music. Lord, Lord, this time.
Play the tune.
I'm gonna love you forever.
Play the tune.
This time. Swear that I'll beat you. Girl, I've made up my mind. Baby, it's time. We'll be together. I promise you, baby, I won't be losing you. To wake up and you will lay beside me. To wake up and I'm not touching you. Girl, I can pretend I feel so alive when I'm holding you, baby. There's no doubt about it, girl, yes. Girl, when I said I love you, I meant every single word I said. When I said I need you, I need you every day. Girl, when I said I love you, I meant every single word I said. When I said I need you, I need you every day. If I propaganda, I don't need you for nine and veranda.
What did he say? Oh, leave people business alone. DJ Roy. Go on, DJ Roy. Propaganda. Leave people business alone.
Give her your propaganda. I don't need you for nine and veranda.
Leave people business alone.
Beg you all propaganda. I don't want it for nine and veranda. Leave people business alone. I know you don't know the fullness, yet you come and stir up and snares. You ready now to tell me lies, ready for subtract and multiply. Someone told you the story, and yet you act as if you were there. I don't want you around me, just act like you don't know me. Beg you a propaganda. I don't need you for I'm on veranda. Leave people business alone. Beg you a propaganda. I don't want you for I'm on veranda. Leave people business alone. Please give her your walk, it's a negative. Cause them your thing you only bring your enemies. And I don't really want that on my premises, no. And trouble never set up like rain at all. So do nobody call nobody name at all. Rasta man so banga rang that I pick it with fire. Oh, hey, beg you a walk propaganda. I don't need you for I'm on veranda. Yes. Leave people business alone. Hey, give her your walk propaganda. I don't need it for I'm on veranda. Yes.
Oh, listen. Leave people business alone. Leave people business alone. Do you know how many times that gets people into trouble? Out there in inclusive FM land, whilst you are cruising with Cuban Red, don't forget, she said, leave people business alone. As DJ Roy put together on the amazing mix CD, yeah? Okay, you saw me fanning. This is my new fan that my wonderful daughter bought me. And I remembered that I put it in my bag when she phoned, actually. I think she must have phoned because of that. Amazing how the spirit moves, isn't it? And I'm hot, not because it's hot in here, but just because I haven't been well. That's why I need the sun. We don't have sun here in the winter, not as much as we normally did. Lots of people suffer from SAD, seasonal adjustment disorder, because they're missing the sun. And I seriously think I'm one of those people. But I've also had this like bug for the past 2 months, this cold. And like normally I don't get it, but I'm beginning to understand what's going on. So doesn't mean I don't need the sun though. And I think that many people actually living in England need the sun during these winter times, because do you know what? To be in England in the winter, in the cold, and to be homeless and there's no sun, it's just like, wow, that is just a lot stacked against you. Talking about being homeless, last year, a couple of years ago now, put together a program, an event called Living Together, and it really was directed around the situation of being homeless without a home in England, in Edmonton actually, because we were looking at it. And I was really pleased to be instrumental in the setting up of the first winter shelter that Enfield has put into operation from last year, and it's being repeated this year. The winter shelters were first talked about by the Good Samaritan Network, headed up by David Burrows, and many organisations around the table, not just looking at homelessness but looking at all sorts of things. But actually this one seemed to come out of the pot pretty hot, and people were up for doing something about it, and I certainly was, because at that time I was homeless. So it was really great to be able to see something official being put into place to address the situation. And I was lucky, blessed enough to be in the position, even though I was homeless, I was working. Amazing, isn't it? I was working, and I was able to garner some funds in from the local council to put this event on, Living Together. And I'd like to read you just a couple of things from that, because people sent in poetry, they sent in experiences, and we put them together in this booklet that was given out on the day the event was held. So I'd just like to read you just a few things from there, if that's okay with you out there in Inclusive FM land. I was going to say that out there in Cruising with Cuban Red land. You could kind of call it that, but I think it's Inclusive FM land actually. And what you're doing is cruising with Cuban Red. Let me read you something. So Living Together and as an event gathered people and organisations together to raise awareness of the issues around homelessness in London, but especially Enfield. Its causes, its effects and its possible outcomes were explored. Stigma was addressed, so opening people's eyes to the possibility of anyone at any time being homeless. The event was not just about ticking boxes. What was not wanted was people coming to see a show and just forgetting about the whole issue as they left. Neither was it about getting a blanket or food, though getting a blanket is good in the freezing cold. Living Together made a difference in people's lives, not just in those that were homeless, but in those that responded to the call to be a part of the solution. Yeah? And a couple of thoughts around homelessness. And these are from young people actually, that put together a few thoughts and a poem which I'll probably end with. Yeah? So homeless. End this section with, yeah? Homeless. This is by Sharik, a lovely young man. He was in my drama group, yeah? 2014. I remember when I was a kid, skipping down to the corner shop, but then I always see that dirty man laying on the floor. I used to laugh at him with my friends. We swore that we would never become like that. But everything changed. After that day, I started failing, and now I am that man, begging for money and food. Once in a while, I get a packet of crisps from the guy that works in the shop when he's closing up, but that doesn't fill me up. I am still starving. I wish things would change. Thank you. That's Sharik. What was Sharik at the time? Was he 14, I think? Another piece from Yasmin, same group actually. Homeless people. It's sad, you know, walking past your house, seeing them in the most smallest and dirtiest places by themselves. I used to look at them and still give them £1. Some people just give them that look, that dirty, disgraceful look. It's just so upsetting, because if it was you in that situation, you wouldn't like it at all. That's Yasmin, same age as Shirley. And one more from that group. She's a little bit older, this one, Dorcas. She was 16, yeah? Homeless. My husband wants to help the poor man, but I don't want him to. I mean, I can use that money to buy my hair, do my nails. We walk out and meet about 10 of them in the street, but I just give them the evil look so they don't ask my husband. You know what a beggar does? They don't care about your money. They want a place to live. Your food, clothes, accessories mean nothing to them. So if you want to help them, think again. I'm not a bad person, am I? Don't judge the book by its cover. I used to be homeless before. I got married to my rich husband and blessed him with 2 kids. All those people in the street used to spit on me and call me names from running away from home at age 16 and pregnant. No one cares about you or you, so why care too when they will just stab you in the back? That's Dorcas. I think there are many people that actually think like that, you know. I'm just reading you what these young people have written, and I think it's really interesting, the perspectives that they come from. And this last piece that I'm going to read you from the Living Together booklet is by a writer, actually. I've watched him grow into owning the status of writer. A young man called Danny Sharalambus, and he's about 23 now, I think. And this booklet you will hear more from, because hopefully, only because I haven't really been that well, so not on the case, but there is somebody from the winter shelters that are being set up this year that agreed to come onto the programme. So I just have to chase her a little and apologise for not getting back to her before, and hopefully she'll be on the show and we can read a few more of these then. I'd like to leave you with this one. No fixed abode. It pains me to remember the house where I spent my days, struggling to pay the bills, locked in a money haze. Now the walls have crumbled down. I find solace on the street, but now I'm invisible, wrapped up in 2 old sheets. Young and talented, only 23, she graduated with a master's degree, lost a loved one, drinks to numb the pain. Now she's invisible, sleeping in the rain. Tells himself, I have nothing to fear, trembling as the monster comes near, the monster of unkind words, of trouble and of strife, who forced him out into the street where he lives an invisible life. Said the landlord, stepping through the clutter, this property is a disgrace. I'm afraid you'll have to leave by morning, since you cannot maintain this place. The landlord's words became distant and hazy. Depression tightened its grip, and now she is invisible, sleeping in a skip. OMG. Thank you very much, Danny Sharalambus. Excellent poem, excellent poetry. And I love what you say there. It really kind of shows quite a few people's experience and feelings around homelessness. Don't know if anyone out there in Inclusive FM land has ever been homeless. Maybe some of you have. Maybe some of you know people that have. But you know what? It's winter. It's cold, it's wet, it's rainy. If you know someone, anyone, that you can actually signpost to somewhere that can give them help, if you can direct them to an organisation, please do so. Not just because it's Christmas season, but because, you know what? We're all human beings together living in this big village, yeah? And we need to look out one for another, because as the poetry says, no one knows when it could be you or it could be me. Again, no. But anybody, for any circumstance, could find themselves in that situation. So let's learn to live together in this big village and help one another in situations where we are without. Let's help each other to become with. Yeah? Okay, where are you? You are in Inclusive FM land, cruising with Cuban Red. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Would you like to hear a little bit more about Benjamin Zephaniah? We did talk about him at the beginning of the programme. Let me see what I can do for you. That was clumsy. Okay. Dear teacher. At school, he was a rebel, always challenging the teachers. He was told by one teacher that Angela Davis, seize the day, was a terrorist. Thinking to himself, but this is the woman who's fighting for the freedom of black people in America who are being lynched. What did Benjamin Zephaniah do? He promptly walked out of the class. Next day, he came back with Angela Davis written on his jeans. It was the time of the Biafran War in Nigeria, and Benjamin remembers objecting to the racist jokes about starving Biafrans. He was very politically aware, always asking questions, disagreeing with his parents who the church should be divorced from politics. And when a teacher told him that Columbus discovered America, he replied with a letter entitled Civil Lies. And here's a little snippet. When I was born in Ethiopia, life began. As I sailed down the Nile, civilization began. When I stopped to think, universities were built. When I set sail, Asians and true Americans sailed with me. When we traded, nations were built. We did not have animals. Animals lived with us. We had so much time. 13 months made our year. We created social services and cities that still stand. So, teacher, do not say Columbus discovered me. Check the great things I was doing before I suffered slavery. Yours truly, Mr. Africa. No, I've got to laugh. Can you imagine this? Doesn't say his age really, but he was still at school. He's still at school and he's being told things that actually is common knowledge nowadays. Columbus who? Columbus what? Columbus, what did you do? You mean you went and traded guns for wine, for glass beads, for etc, etc. You didn't really discover anywhere, but at that time it wasn't really a fully known fact, which anybody who wants to can go and look it up. Please do. Inclusive FM land. Don't just listen to me. Go and search it out. Go and look it up. And here is Benjamin. No wonder he became so famous. Benjamin Zephaniah with his Angela Davis written on his trousers comes back into the teacher and says, "Dear teacher," from Mr. Africa. Just makes me laugh. I just think it's fabulous. Benjamin, I have met you. Don't think you'd remember me though. But big up to you and thank you for all the lovely, lovely poetry. When I say lovely, inspirational, educational, that's what I mean by lovely. Loads of rhythm as well, okay? So big up to Benjamin. We've got a little bit of time left on the show. And, well, you know what I say. Black history is for every day, not just for October. And we've been looking at Kwanzaa. So I'm going to just give you a few more bits about Kwanzaa, if that's all right. And after that, we're going to go to some music. Yeah? Okay. So, you okay out there in Inclusive FM land? Are you still cruising? Cruise with Cuban Red. You can't go wrong. Okay, here we go. We are looking at, I'll just check page 14 to 16 in First Fruits, which is about Kwanzaa, yeah? Okay, page 14 to 16. Going to read you just a little bit, probably not all of this actually, because it's quite a lot. But here we go, let's see. So preparations for First Fruits Kwanzaa, approximately a week before the 26th. Decorations should be arranged around the home, school or whatever place has been selected for the Kwanzaa celebration. The colours associated with Kwanzaa are red, black and green. These are the colours of black liberation and pride. Red is for the blood of our ancestors, which has not been shed in vain, and for the continuing life and death struggle for freedom and justice. That's the red. Black represents black people and the work that remains to be done for our development. Green symbolises the land, youth and new ideas. Okay, so that's the colours, yeah? There's a main table, a dining room or kitchen. It should be given a centrepiece of a straw basket or wooden bowl filled with mixed fruits and veg, tropical fruits and veg if possible, but fruits and veg, yeah? And either a low table or the floor should be used to place the Kwanzaa symbols on, you know, like the mat, the candlestick, etc., etc. This should be in a prominent place in the home, usually in the living room. So here we go with a little bit more detail. Spread the table with an African cloth. There's loads of places selling African cloth around, okay? If African cloth is not available though, substitute it with red or green cloth. Cool? Okay. Place the straw mat, the makeke, in the centre of the cloth, yeah? And then after that, place the kanara, the candle holder, on top of it. The ears of corn, the mahindi, should be placed around the side. So you've got a cloth with a candelabra sitting on top of a mat, and you've got corn placed around it, yeah? And a bowl or basket of fruit to symbolise our harvest, yeah? Add an African artifact such as a carving, a mask or a piece of jewellery to further decorate the table. And last but not least, add an important literary work. It may be a collection from Cuban Red, either poetry, fiction or non-fiction to signify our cultural heritage and creativity. So it could be something from Frantz Fanon, it could be something from James Baldwin, it could be something from Maya Angelou, whosoever, whatsoever you choose. And finally, the Mishuma candles should be placed in the Kanara, 7 candles. You may then place the zawadi, which I told you all about these earlier, but you know, if you've forgotten, that's cool, don't worry, we will remember. You may then place the zawadi gifts on or near the Kwanzaa table, yeah? Oh, that looks to me wonderful, looks like an amazing feast and a gathering of people. Next week I'm going to tell you about gift giving and the Kwanzaa environment, okay? And I'm going to share with you one of the poems that is in the book, and that is on page 39. Kwanzaa is an amazing time, and I've read to you, and it's, you know, we talk about the African community. Everybody is welcome. I know that sounds really weird, and you say, of course we're not. Yes, you are. You're welcome. It just comes from an African perspective, but you're welcome to come. Greek, Polish, English, whosoever, yeah? Okay, and I'd just like to read you this poem. A celebration of blackness. We come together to celebrate us because we are an African people. We realise our common roots. It is the basis for our unity. We acknowledge our multicultural. It is the cause of our diversity and creativity. We understand our strength and our struggle, not just to survive, but to flourish. It is our reason and purpose. We draw strength from one another. We teach and learn together. We share the fruits of our labours. It is the only way we shall come to know a new world. Our souls in harmony, we create a spirit of liberation that will provide us with the faith to go on when all else fails. Turn it up for me, Richard. Please turn it up. Why not? Yeah.
Kingston, girl, won't you come take a walk with me?
I was born in Kingston. Woo!
Kingston, girl, won't you come take a walk with me?
Thank you for representing for DJ
Come back home. Come back home. Complete the way that me feel anytime you look at me. But what we try come out of this island. Been around and seen a lot of gal around AI, but none of them still got me high. You that I want and I need in my life, AI. Me want to show you bits of me culture, so let me take you to a country that we call the yard. Down to East Africa. Kingston, girl, won't you come take a walk with me? Yeah. Kingston, girl, won't you come take a walk with me? Come back home. Come back home.
Is it the same one? Can't even talk because I want to dance. Come cruise with Cuban Red. Motivation. And actually, as it is a little lower, which is fab, I really want to share with you the track that I searched the whole of Jamaica for, yeah? Going to play out with that one. So right now, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, turning on and cruising with Keeping Red. It's fabulous being out there in Inclusive FM Lounge. If you see me out there in the reels, yeah, just say hello, just give me a shout, yeah. I want to say thank you to Richard, my trusty technician. Great show, couldn't do it without him. Hank out there in Holland, hope all is well with you. Thank you for tuning in, really appreciate your support. Silver out there, my love to you, keep it going. I know it's not easy at the moment, yeah? And yeah, anybody else that knows me, that is just far out and groovy. All you silent listeners, Facebook followers, etc, etc, etc. Terry, thank you for saying it was a great show last week. Hope you managed to see this one as well. And yeah, big up again to management and all the other presenters actually on the show. We're going to listen to track number 8. Woo! Caught Richard out then. Gonna listen to track number 8. This is the track that I heard before I went away. Searched for it all the time I was away. Played it. Thank goodness I found it. I don't know what would have happened. Oh, start it again for me, Richard. Just start it one more time. Someday. Listen to the words. I promise I'll shut up and you can hear the words, yeah? Cool. And I'm just gonna say bye. Bye.
Someday, I know that we're gonna move from here to our own place. I mean, we're gonna represent for DJ Roy. I'm gonna make it day.
Thank you, DJ Roy.
I'm not sure it's gonna be easy, baby, but I will faith, 'cause I never leave you. DJ Roy, I will be there. Every time you close your eyes, I will be like your shadow. I will stick by you, and I'll always be around. I'm gonna stick by you. Oh, one day we're gonna have a family that we dream for. Two pretty little girls, one baby boy, and even one more. I'll take you to every city with me on the worldwide tour. Be there. Every time you close your eyes, I will be there. I'll wake up by your side.
Romaine Beige. Thank you, Romaine.
I'll always be around.
Stick by you. I promise to sit by you, sit by you
Until the end
of time, stick by you,
even if I lose my
stick by you.
I will be there every time you close your eyes. I'll be there. I'll wake up.
I've brought you words of power, words of wisdom, raw words, big words, small words, sad words, words of passion, words of praise. I raise my arms in reverence to the ancient word of days, words of woman, man and child, wild words, words of anger, words of pain, words of wind, earth, sun and rain, words of joy and words of healing, words revealing concealed feelings. These words I've offered up to you, and you, and you, and you. Thank you.
From the start, you have a place in my heart, up in my mind, soul, body, in my thought. You know that.
Nam yo